Hey, I'm Tommy Hobson. You might know me from the Fresh Beat Band or That Girl Lele. If you're looking for something fun to watch, find Ghost of the Ozarks. It's a good movie. You're watching Taboo's Comics and Kicks.
What's up, everybody? Hola, amigos. Welcome to a beautiful, beautiful day, a new adventure for Taboo's Comics and Kicks. My guest today, first of all, he's a friend. He's an inspiration, not only to myself, but to my household for his years and years of service through television, through inspiring kids, inspiring the youth. This man started at 6 years old, acting. And what really resonates with me is that he also went to Yale, graduated from Yale, bro. Like, wait, let me say it again. This man graduated and earned a BA in theater studies from Yale University. So that, for me, when I think about higher education and I think about, exploring what is impossible, and sometimes when we have our communities where they say, well, college, you can only attain this. Like, nah, bro, I'm going to attain and I'm going to continue striving for the best. This man has also been part of influential shows like In Living Color. What? My childhood, my DNA was In Living Color, Arsenio Hall Show, Yo MTV Raps, Rap City, but In Living Color was part of that journey. This man was also on Disney with Christina Milian, a show called Movie Surfers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Movie Surfers. And he was also part of A Different World, another show that shaped and molded. Shout out to my sister, Cree Summer. That was with Jada Pinkett Smith and a lot of other folks that were part of that. But the most fascinating one has to be 227. And if you know about 227, ladies and gentlemen, you know that we had great television at that time. It wasn't like, like 1,000 channels. It was like you focus on, nighttime programming, daytime animation or cartoons, but 227 really set the tone. We're going to dive into it. You probably know him from Nickelodeon. My favorite, the Fresh Beat Band. I mean, these kids, multiculturalism, great vibes, always on that positive frequency. We even had a Latina in the mix. And most recently, That Girl Lele, my daughter's favorite show. This man has set the tone for family programming. And then he hit me with the curb, the Ghost of Ozarks, right?
Yeah.
Now that one, which we're going to jump into, that one was a little bit darker, more sinister. So to go from family programming to the Ghost of Ozarks, that was pretty dope. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about my brother. Some people call him Thomas. Some people call him Tommy. I call him Tommy Hobson. Let's go.
Thank you. Oh, wow. That felt nice. Thank you.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you for that, friend.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's a beautiful day because when I reached out to you, you were like, yo, whenever you need this, you want me to be part of this journey with you, I'm there for you. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah. It came at the right time. I've been in this season of, as we're figuring out, like with the business and the world and all the things that are happening, just being open to anything, just saying yes. And so you texted me in the middle of that and I was like, oh, this is one of those things where I often feel like I'm undeserving of moments like this. I'm like, but why? But what have I? But who am I? And now I'm like, oh no, you have, the work's there. You're allowed to go and sit and feel like, your life has led you to a moment where you could have a conversation.
Well, you've inspired us for years, and me now being part of the Nickelodeon family, I always try to encourage more storytellers like yourself or Kel Mitchell, folks that, are part of the Nickelodeon family and have been in it for a while, to celebrate and give you your flowers and let you know what you mean, not only to me, but also to my son, my older son. Because when the show was out, and you had this beautiful run and then you were able to do the Lele show, now my daughter is into that. So to see one aspect of my son, my older son, being part of the journey with Fresh Beat Band, and then now seeing Jet with That Girl Lele, it's pretty dope. You've been part of my household for a while now.
Yeah, that's lovely. I did say when Lele came around, after I got over the initial like, what? Father on
Mhm.
television of
Mhm.
teenagers?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what? Am I old enough for this? Is this, are we already there? Then I realized, I said, it's crazy. I said, a lot of the kids who watched Lele or who watched that, the Fresh Beat Band
Mhm.
had aged with me to Lele. And for some
Facts.
of the older kids who had aged out of even Lele, like their younger siblings had aged into Lele. It was this
Mhm.
sort of, Lawrence Fishburne once said to me, his daughter watched the Fresh Beat Band. I think she just graduated from high school this summer, actually. But he said, he did Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I remember that.
Yeah,
The cowboy,
and
right?
yeah, it was Cowboy Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis.
And I
Yeah.
said, when I met him, and he was being so kind to me about the Fresh Beat Band and the work I was doing and what it meant to his daughter and his family and what he saw in me and what he saw for me. And I told him once I calmed down that, he was such an inspiration because Nickelodeon was never in my mind as part of the journey.
Yeah.
I had gone to Yale and I was very serious and I had
Mhm.
done Shakespeare and I was ready to be this like, this
Thespian.
multifaceted
Yeah.
thespian.
Yeah.
And then I ended up on this kid show and I was like, am I ever going to work again? Are people going to watch the show and know that like this is serious to me and it's not some stupid kid show. Like the four of us took it very seriously. We trained, we studied, we worked 16, 18-hour days. And Lawrence, he said, he said, you remind me a little bit of Morgan Freeman. And then my heart stopped beating and, sound went out for a second. But he said, Morgan Freeman was on a show called Electric Company in the 70s.
Oh,
it was
that was
Morgan
dope.
Freeman and Rita
Yeah.
Moreno, also a kid's show.
Yeah.
He was a jive talker who like was helping you learn math and stuff. And he said, and he was such an inspiration. He said, and I remembered learning from him and I impart to you, these kids will grow with you and they will always love you and they will always remember what you meant to them.
Yeah.
And they'll take that with them for the rest of their lives. So as your career grows and your audience grows, you'll have this core audience of people who've loved you their entire lives.
Yeah.
And he was not wrong.
Well, just adding on to that, like I just want you to know that your influence, whether you come from a thespian background and, kudos to Yale, that's we're gonna get into that. But the idea of, for me as a dad, whatever my daughter's into and my kids are into, that's like the level of coolness that I want to attain.
Yeah.
Because even what I've done with the Peas is not as cool as your show. You know what I'm saying?
That's
it's
crazy.
in their mind, for their age, it's just dad.
Yeah.
It's not that girl Lele.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like this variety of like, I want to appease my kids. So that's why I want to get into what they're into. And you have been one of those people that, first of all, my son was into the show. And then my daughter being into the show, it just brought like the family dynamic together. And I think we live as fathers, and you could probably attain to this. As fathers, we're always trying to see what our kids are into, right? He has a 10-year-old daughter. He has other kids too, but he's connected with this 10-year-old and seeing what his 10-year-old is into. Same thing with me. It's like, if I can bring a superhero like you to my podcast, it's like kudos at home, bro. It's brownie points at home because you talk about one era for my son to be like, oh yeah, I remember that show. I remember Shout, right?
Yeah.
I remember Shout. And then you have Jet, and then it's like, oh, I remember Alexander, you know? So it's just the energy, what you bring. And I just want you to always remember the work that you've put in has impacted our household to the point where I'm glad that I was able to connect with you as a friend.
Thank you. And that means a lot to me.
Let's talk about your love for theater.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. There's this stigma. I was a theater kid too.
Mm-hmm.
I took drama, I took theater, and it helped me project. It helped me have confidence on stage.
Yeah.
It helped me learn how to make choices when it came to acting.
Yeah.
Subtle choices where everything didn't have to have dialogue. It was more like a look, a feeling.
Yeah.
A sigh. And that was the scene. You didn't have to have dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the learning how to break down your character, creating the backstory.
Yeah, it's my favorite part.
Right?
Yeah.
So talk about that, because I want people to receive the beauty that is the work that goes into theater and really putting in the work?
Theater came to me second. TV, film, commercial world was from like 6 to I think 11 or 12. That was kind of like the main focus. And I took the dance classes, I took the acting classes, but I did a play the summer that I turned 12. I did my first musical, and it was the best of all my worlds, because I've always, now that I'm an adult, I've become much younger in spirit than I was when I was a kid.
Right.
When I was a kid, all I wanted to do was be around adults and, be in their business. And for a whole summer, I got to be the only kid in a musical with all these adults. And it was great. And I didn't realize that I was sitting in the wings and I was watching their processes and their pre-show life, their post-show warm downs, and it ignited this love for me. And I tell people all the time, like, I'm not always in acting classes, but I will always seek out an opportunity to do theater. Theater doesn't pay as well as TV does, but theater, whenever I do a play, it feels like a hard reset, because you can't hide. With TV and film, I can take big swings, and if they don't work out, we call cut, we reset, we do it again. With theater,
it's right there.
It's right there. It's immediate.
Yeah.
It's the light didn't change. The cue line was missed. The actor didn't come on stage. And I've had all those experiences, and it keeps you actively listening, because while you are living fully in the moment of whatever the storyline of this play is, there's also a part of you that has to be like pressure checking to make sure that, like, you're ready for whatever comes next. If you give me the wrong cue line, I can't respond with what I'm supposed to say. I have to tweak it so that it's,
So with that, is there a sense of, like, say if somebody forgets their line or gives you the wrong line, are you able to improvise a little bit? Okay.
Yeah, I can paraphrase a line, or if you completely just don't know what you're saying, I've even had to find ways to, sort of reverse engineer our way to me giving you the line. And that, I'm always, like, I tell people all the time, like, TV, film, wonderful, make that money. It's a great life. But also in between those moments, if you can find a good play or a good musical to go do, it's going to keep you honest as an actor. It's going to keep your instrument sharp.
I want to add to that. So that right there, what you just said about sharpening your sword, you say you have a TV or film opportunity, but you're going to do a play or something that sharpens your swords, where it's like instant. There's no cameras. It's not like cut.
Yeah.
It's straight go. I want to say that with music, we have that too with open mics, where we can go and sharpen our swords, try some lyrics out, freestyle. We have that with comedy, where, you can have your stand-up show, or you can pop into the Ice House and do a quick set. Right?
I love going to the Ice House to watch people do that.
Going to the Ice House too, man. It's beautiful. I live in Pasadena.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Because
I think the last time I saw you, I was walking down the street in Pasadena.
That's
I was like, what?
I was like, Tommy!
And my cat, I was doing a show at the Pasadena Playhouse. I was doing Inherit the Wind at the Pasadena Playhouse. And my castmate was walking with me, and he was like, was that Taboo in the Black Eyed Peas? I was like, yeah, we're friends.
Yeah, we're cool.
That's my buddy.
You
That's
got some
funny.
cool points. Can I jump into this real quick? Because I don't want to lose this moment. Because I know he'll get some top fives. What are the top 5 must-see plays or musicals right now?
Yeah.
Right now.
Or maybe all time, but what's kind of rotating through these theaters right now that we should see? Because my favorite that I saw years ago was In the Heights.
Oh, man.
Did you ever get to see that?
Not live, but
Yeah. I saw it at Segerstrom in Orange County.
Yeah.
Oh, that was dope.
I've seen a couple of musicals.
Yeah.
I'm a musical guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Lion King. I
Lion
saw
King's
it
beautiful.
here
Yeah.
and I saw it in London.
Beautiful. The
Beautiful.
opening of that show is one of the best things I think theaters ever created.
Amazing. I saw Wicked here, Pantages, when it first
Fantastic.
came out, before the movie.
Did you see
of course.
Hamilton?
I did. I saw Hamilton. Love that, because I love the way the cadences and all the things that Lin Miranda had done. We saw Phantom of the Opera. That was a little slow.
I was disappointed. I'm gonna say it. I was in college when I saw Family Opera, and we used to go down, take the Metro North down from New Haven to New York, every couple months, just to, like, get away from New Haven and go see a show in New York. And we were like, we're going to see Phantom. And I was like, y'all listen to me. There were like 4 of us. And I was like, we got to splurge to sit in the orchestra because the chandelier apparently drops at some point. And I want to feel the fear of the chandelier dropping on me. And that chandelier fell in slow motion and then like 50 feet above us curved and landed on the stage. And I was like, well, that was so disappointing. And I also don't like this show. So, but yeah, I mean, that's 3 great ones right there. Well, I mean, In the Heights, Hamilton, Wicked. I mean, we talk about like musical theater done well. There's a reason why those shows have stayed on, and Lion King have stayed on Broadway. Lion King now, I think 25 years. And, you know, one of my nerdy things to do is I look at the weekly grosses for movies and for Broadway. It's it started when I was in junior high. I just like knowing how things are doing. And
that's great. I love that.
Yeah. And, you know, and Wicked and Hamilton, you know, are deep into their runs and both clearing $2 million a week in box office, which for theaters is insane. You know, Wicked is $1 billion show. Yeah. It's made over $1 billion globally.
We like to, as I am a nerd as well, we like to talk about numerics and the fact that there is a viable business around this. You know, we talk about toys and collectibles as a global enterprise and a viable business, sneaker culture as well. But I love that you tapped into that part too. You know, and it doesn't just have to be at Broadway. It could be, you know, around the world. It's global.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in junior high, we used to sell magazines for, you know, school fundraiser. And I discovered the Entertainment Weekly. They don't do it anymore because they just release them every day now. But Entertainment Weekly every week on Friday would have in the back of the magazine what the movies were making at the box office. Yeah. And it really fascinated me and still does. Like I'm still like, I go on Deadline Hollywood Daily every day and I read everything I can because I want to know what the plays are people are talking about. I haven't been to New York. I was there in March and I saw Sunset Boulevard and, you know, Nicole Scherzinger was
amazing.
Every bit as brilliant as they said she was. Yeah. You know, the musical itself, the overall musical, the production was wonderful. The actual musical that was written 50 years ago, I don't know if it's the best musical, but the cast was phenomenal. She was phenomenal. Really bummed I had a ticket to see Gypsy and the entire cast called out sick. I was like, what? Yeah. First it was just Audra McDonald, and then later on they said, yeah, like half the cast had some bug, and so I didn't get to see that, which really bummed me out. My buddy is right now in the musical Shucked, which is playing at the Pantages for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to see that. Les Miserables is one of my favorite musicals. I think it's because it's one of the first musicals I saw on Broadway. When I was 14, I took a trip with my acting studio here in LA to New York, and we saw Bring in the Noise, Bring in the Funk, Savion Glover tap dancing his face off, brilliant. We saw Les Miserables, which wonderful, and we saw Cats, which I absolutely hated. I fell asleep during it actually, and I woke up and I thought it was intermission. And then everyone started leaving. People started bowing, and I was like, "Oh God!" And they said, "Tommy, you slept through the entire show." But yeah, those are Hamilton, Les Mis, Wicked. Like those are, you know. And then there are smaller ones that I've seen that I love.
Okay, give us a nugget. What's a nugget that maybe we're not hip to yet?
I'll give you a nugget.
Okay.
Because there's a couple of different versions of the MJ story. Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
There's one shout out to my brothers Rich and Tone, the choreographer dudes from Northern Cali. They really did this amazing piece with this MJ. I want to get the name right.
Was it the Broadway one? MJ the musical?
Yeah, MJ the musical.
Brilliant.
And it talks about, you know, I believe it's the Dangerous era.
Where's the tour at now? Where are they at?
I'm not sure where they are now, but it's still on Broadway. Still doing very well on Broadway. But yeah, but it's the rehearsal process of the Dangerous tour. And they use that and what he's going through in that as a way to sort of tell his life story.
Yeah.
And so, and it's really well done. Because I thought, it's going to be a Michael Jackson life story musical. That's not going to work. But it's him in rehearsals, and he's in financial trouble because he's over leveraged himself on this tour. But he believes that it's going to be huge, and
thinks
no
it's
one
gonna
else
be Thriller
does.
Again.
You know, and he ends up being right. It's a huge tour. It's sold out the world over. But like he had to leverage a lot of stuff. It cost him a lot emotionally. cost them a lot financially.
He was dabbling in,
Yeah, it was
medication
probably the
too.
beginning of him moving. Well, not the beginning, because that started with the Coca-Cola debacle,
Pepsi thing.
The Pepsi thing. But it really was like the tipping over of the scales into like him mismanaging pain and mismanaging emotions. And it's really, and I love there's this sort of, and it doesn't give anything away, but there's this nugget of the show where like he just really wants a pop. He's like, I want one of those machines that pops me out of the ground. And for some reason, like that's the thing that everyone's like, no, we don't have the money for it. And he's like, just, we'll mortgage the house. Like, he just really, and he's right. And in the show, you get to see him, pop out.
Yeah.
It's
called a toaster.
Well, yeah.
Toaster, that's it.
Toaster, yeah.
But keep us hip to when it's in LA.
Yeah, for sure.
Or Orange County or wherever out here.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to see it.
It's worth. People were crying in that play. It was very like a very visceral thing, because also they make these guys who play Michael. I mean, you don't just audition for this role and get it. You audition for this role many times, and if you do get it, then you go into a boot camp.
Yeah,
where you spend months to a year just studying and learning all of the Michael Jacksonisms so that you are giving the audience,
Because it's like one thing to learn the dances, but it's another thing to learn the
mannerisms.
The mannerisms and the quirky tonality and just his laugh, the way he laughs, just anything to embody what MJ was.
That's what the hard part about those is, because he's such a well-known public figure. Mm-hmm. So everybody knows how he walks, how he talks, That's why I think they've had challenges getting a Tupac movie right. Because Tupac is so specific. Mm-hmm. He's one of a kind. And I think like even the last one that LT Hutton did, shout out to him. I thought he did a great job, but I thought they focused a little bit more on how the actor looked like Pac versus acted like Pac.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the hard part, is getting someone to mimic that.
So speaking about musicals and plays transitioning into sketch comedies, because I alluded to In Living Color.
Yeah. I realize now, like I had these moments in my life where you're a kid and you don't really understand like how freaking special moments are. But like I've had time recently to sort of sit and really think about my journey. And that was one of those things where initially on In Living Color, when Keenan was there and he was running the show every day, the adults played kids, and that was sort of the humor of the whole thing. When Keenan left in those last 2 seasons, whoever was show running at that point was like, well, let's actually get kids in here to be kids. And so I, find myself standing in hallways and literally I'm watching like Jamie Foxx half like in Wanda makeup, like screaming down the hallway about something he was upset about. And he's swearing his head off. Mm-hmm. And my mom is like, yo, I know you guys are not used to kids being here, but there's kids here now. But I got to do with David Alan Grier and Jim Carrey. David Alan Grier had that, wrote a song about it, like the head go. Yeah. Did one of those sketches and did a very bad job at whatever age that was of not finding him hysterical. It was just like a really, because I was recurring on A Different World as one of Whitley's students in her elementary school class she was teaching in the last season of the show. So I was doing that, and I was doing the In Living Color jumps at the same time. And so I was rotating in these worlds of shows that I watched that meant a lot to me, but also like in the periphery of all these people who would go on to do really, really amazing things. And you're like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, no, I remember Jamie Foxx yelling in that hallway. I didn't know then that, he would become what he's become.
Yeah.
But the inspiration of that.
What's crazy is you were part of pinnacles of our childhood, pinnacles of history for Black entertainment or people of color entertainment reaching the masses. Because it wasn't just Black folks and Latinos watching. It was everybody was tuning in.
Everybody.
You got to understand the Cosby Show, then it goes into a different world, right? You got Lisa Bonet going to that. And then you have Jada Pinkett. And shout out to Tupac being part of that show.
Yeah.
That was dope.
I just finished a rewatch of the whole thing and I was like, oh my God.
He killed it.
So good. So funny.
Amazing in that. You remember that episode, right?
Of course, where he kisses Jada.
Yeah. I remember when I got to college, because, I'd grown up in LA acting. So everywhere I went, people, I changed schools a couple of times. And every time I got to a new school, I was like, maybe this will be the time when no one will know that, because I wasn't famous as a kid, but I did enough stuff where people were like, you look kind of familiar. You're the guy from that commercial I just saw. And it always just turned a little weird. And then I got to college and I thought, well, this is an opportunity to start over. When I got to college, when I got to Yale, I was pre-med.
Wow.
And I was literally like, okay, that was a fun time in my life, but now I'm going to be a serious adult. And
so he's just a genius, is what he's saying. It's
he started at 6.
And then I came back my sophomore year. And by that point I had changed my major to theater, but over the summer, people had gone home. And what had they done? They had binged these shows. They had watched A Different World. They had watched In Living Color. They had watched Step by Step. They had watched these shows that I had found myself on, and somehow they found themselves watching the episodes I had done. And I got back to Yale my sophomore year and was immediately confronted with, are you an actor? Because I just saw, this kid looks just like you in this episode of A Different World. In Living Color, whatever. And I was like, oh, crap. Yeah. Yeah. Also, this face has not changed much over a lifetime. So
and you kind of like were like, you didn't embrace it?
I didn't, because it hadn't always been, that energy hadn't always been positive.
Okay. I get that.
And I will say, even to this day, like, people will make assumptions about who I am as a person based on what they think people who do what we do are like.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna disappoint you then, because I'm just the son of Tom and Dee Hobson, high school sweethearts from Crenshaw High School here in LA, who raised me in the IE. And
shout out to the Highlanders.
Up in high school. I said, and on all I want to do every day of my life is be David Alexander. Sorry, not David Alexander. David A. Arnold. I merged our character names. David Arnold, who created and wrote and show ran That Girl Lele. May he rest in peace. He met my parents once, and he said, I wasn't there, and he called me before my dad could call me, and he said, I met your parents at my show today. And I said, oh man, they were so excited to come. I'm so glad you got to see them. And he said, yeah, I got to tell them what a phenomenal human being they raised. And I told them that you're out here in the world and you are doing them proud. And I told him that is literally like the highest praise anyone can give me, because they've been so good to me. All I want to do is be a good reflection of the people who raised me. And so I'm not in this for selfish reasons. I'm not in this for any reason other than I really like entertaining people.
I love that.
And I like to bring people joy. And while I'm doing it, I'm doing my very best every day to be the kind of person that my parents would be proud.
That's dope, bro. Like, for
and you're
me,
doing it.
Yeah,
you're doing it.
I appreciate that.
For me as a parent, I strive to have the same impact that your parents had on you. And I don't know if you have siblings, but
yeah.
So
hi, brother and sister.
Yeah, I mean, it's important, man. Like, being present in my kid's life along with my wife. Shout out to my wife, because she is, she's been through a lot too. But together as a team, we've been able to raise some great kids.
Yeah, and
we continue raising these kids at a high level. She helped me out with my son, who is 33 now, with the previous relationship. So, speaking about leading women, because my wife is my leading woman, my co-star in my family. Talk about Tiffany. I love Tiffany, man. Tiffany's energy and just the way that you guys did those TikTok videos during, I don't know if it was during COVID or.
Yeah, well, we would just, in downtime on set, we would she would knock on my door and she'd go, hubby. And I go, yeah. She was like, TikTok. And I'm like, sure. Okay, cool. We still do. I just had lunch with her last week and she was like, listen, you want to like do 2 real quick? We could stock them up for later.
Yeah.
I met Tiffany Daniels in the fall of 2008. I was waiting to find out if the Fresh Beat Band was picked up to series. We had done the pilot.
How many series was it? I mean, how many seasons?
We did 3 seasons of the Fresh Beat Band. And so we had done the pilot in April, May, and then it was September, and I was doing Dreamgirls. And one of the guys in the show is one of her best friends. He's like her big brother. And so I met her. She came to see the show. And then a few years later, she came walking onto season 2 of the Fresh Beat Band as a dancer. And I was like, Tiffany, right? And she was like, yeah. And we reconnected. And then a few years later, you know, we started doing Sherman Showcase, great sketch show that's on Hulu now, together. And then That Girl Lele came. So we've had this like 15-year, 16-year journey.
Yeah.
And so by the time we got to That Girl Lele, I remember our screen test was on Zoom because it was COVID. And for 3 hours, I sat in the room at my friend's house and waited to go in and out of these chemistry reads with these different wives. And she was the very last one. And when she popped onto the screen, I said, Tiffany Daniels. And she was like, Tommy, oh my God. And they'd already hired the kids. There's executives in here. And we just started yelling, screaming, loving on each other through the camera. And David Arnold said, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. What's going on? Y'all beefing or y'all good? What's happening right now? And I said, no, I've been calling this woman my work wife for over a decade now. I love her. And I haven't seen her because of the pandemic. And David said, I'll be honest with you. There was another combination of parents that I thought had it locked. And then y'all were the last two to come in together. And I said, oh God, we were wrong. You can't buy this kind of chemistry.
Exactly.
These kids have built. And it's so confusing. Even my phone is confused with our relationship. She's so near and dear to me that my phone is like, is she also your wife?
Right.
Like when it suggests wallpapers, it's like, is it this person or this person? Like, who are you dating?
Right.
But she's just she's ride or die in all the best ways. She will tell you she's a triple Scorpio, and that comes with all the things it comes with. And I love every bit of it. And getting to be her pretend spouse for 2.5 years, I saw her almost every day. The hardest part about not doing the show anymore is not seeing everyone every day, but I miss seeing her every day.
Yeah. That's an amazing chemistry that you guys built for 15 years.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gabby too. Gabby was amazing on the show. That girl is
so talented. That's why I got to get to New York. Gabby is, on Broadway in Stranger Things.
Oh, wow.
The play on Broadway. She's one of the leads. And
yeah. Shout out to Gabby for her work and on all that too, because she killed it on all that.
She's just a genuinely talented individual. And I feel grateful that the other kids got to watch her and learn from her because the other kids came in with less experience than she had. And she really got to show them what it looks like to just fire on all cylinders and come ready. And those kids, all the kids on that show came every single day ready to do their best work. And it was a joy to be kind of almost like a backup parent to them on and off screen. And I told them that no matter how old they get, she's 20 now. Peyton, who played my son, I met him. He was 10 now. He's 15. That I'm in their lives forever.
That's awesome.
And I'm rooting for them. They're wonderful people with wonderful parents. And it was just a joy. That show was joy. And I love that people loved it. And I love that whatever we were doing on our set, people felt. We were so worried because it was COVID and we weren't even allowed in season 1 to hang out with each other. And so it was like, how do you build chemistry with people that's believable on the other side of the camera if you can't even, and I told someone with Tiffany, it was easy because what I learned is love. And you can't tell through a camera what kind of love it is. All people knew watching the show was that we genuinely loved each other.
Yeah.
And
you guys connected.
And that was, that was true. I would have done that show. I think if it weren't for the strikes and Paramount's like financial stuff, and they finally got that sale through recently, but I think we would still be doing it if David hadn't passed and the strike hadn't happened. And I would have been very happy to be the dad to those folks. And
what's cool is I've been with Nickelodeon for the last couple of years doing Dora with my daughter. She's she's been working with me the last past year and a half. But being part of the Nickelodeon family has been a blessing. Because, I know that it's a different era now, different execs, different people that are in the mix. Talk about your experience going from how old were you when you started with Fresh Beat Band?
We were ageless. I was.
You were ageless.
Well, that was the funny thing. We had some PR training and they were like, if anyone asks, you're ageless. And I was like, okay, well, the characters are ageless, but I am in real life. If they ask me how old Tommy is, if I say ageless, they're going to think I'm crazy. But when I got that job, I think I was 26 and a half.
Okay.
I think I was almost 27 when I got that job.
Yeah.
And again, not at all on my radar. So far from what I thought I would be doing. My partner actually saw the audition in the back of like Backstage West back when, that was a paper you would hold in your hand and not a digital thing online. And
so it was an audition that you went, okay.
Yeah. And it was like open call for a Nickelodeon show looking for people who can sing, dance, and act. And he said, you should go. And I said, no, I'm going to do shakes. I'm going to do serious stuff.
Yeah. Nickelodeon.
And then the next day I went to the open call. And then a week later they called and said,
what changed your mind?
He said to me in I'll paraphrase it because it wasn't as nice. He basically was like, he said, what the hell else are you doing?
Yeah.
He said, didn't you just say at the time I just quit this day job? I was working at an ad agency and I was a traffic controller, which sounds cool, but basically I was just sitting at a desk and like the artist would send me the ads when they were done. And my job was to hound you for the ad. And then when you sent it to me, put it in the right email format and then type the email and send it to the publication. Right. And I was like, God, I can't do this. I'm going to come back in the new year and I'm going to just do whatever it takes. And the first audition of the new year was this, as if God was like, so you said, and I was like, nah. And I was at my parents' house in the backyard, feet up, reading a book with a glass of wine. And he said, get your ass down here, do this audition. I did. And, 5 auditions later, I was shot on the fresh beat later. Yeah.
Wow. So you had to keep coming back.
Had to keep coming back. Screen tests and all the goodness. And I mean, and it was great to be in that. Cause we grew up watching Nickelodeon and all of a sudden you're in the machine. I'm not just at the Kids' Choice Awards. I'm on the orange carpet at the Kids' Choice Awards. People want to talk to me. I'm negotiating how much slime I can be slimed with and whose outfit are we going to ruin with the slime. And the little kid in me never really got over how cool that was.
That's awesome. Growing up, like what were your shows on Nickelodeon?
Oh, Hey Dude.
Yep.
Hey Salute Dude. Your Shorts. I used to love Double Dare.
Double Dare was my gosh.
Double I used to love
Double
what was the
Dare,
one? What was the one where like it was like the temples?
Mateo, do you know what Double Dare is? Okay.
Oh man,
you'll get some footage of that one. You gotta get that.
But there was the
Write
one.
These down, guys.
There was the one show where like there were the teams and they had to like it was like a fake jungle and they were trying to I can't remember the name of that one. But I mean, the theme songs still live in my head.
All that,
like Ren and Stimpy, all that. I used to go to the tapings of all that because I had a friend who was on it, so I would go watch that every week and just be like, I mean, how cool is that?
Right.
I remember watching Nick Cannon was the warm-up guy for the audience, which is crazy to think, they had to let a teenager be the warm-up guy, but I guess it's a kid's show. So it made complete sense and he was great at it. I was so immersed in that culture. And, then in my teens, I did a lot of Disney stuff. I did the Movie Surfer show with Christina Milian, where we basically it was like a 30-minute commercial for new Disney movies and they ran it as a show. So it was like, oh, hey, movie surfers, like, let's talk about this new movie coming out. And so I got to so I had been so immersed in sort of kid TV culture that it was really crazy. I thought I'd be more involved with it as a kid. And then as an adult is when I became a person who's a fixture in those shows.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Because, again, you started with this bravado of like, oh, I'm a thespian, but really like where you're at now, like, are you happy that you've been embraced so well in that space?
Yes. And I'll tell you when I figured it out. We were on tour with the Fresh Beat Band because, we all of a sudden turned into the Beatles for kids. And we're doing these sold out concerts across the nation and people are spending $10,000 to come see us. And we're doing the theater at Madison Square Garden and we're selling it out 8 times in a row. And I'm like at Carnegie Hall and I'm ringing the opening bell for the stock exchange and the stock market. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah. And one day we were in Louisville doing a concert. And I remember I was so upset that day because my grandmother, it was her 80th birthday and they were throwing her a birthday party. And I just was sad that
you had to work,
that I had to work.
Yeah.
And that I was living on this tour bus, living this fabulous life, but that I was missing all these moments with my family.
Memories.
I got this family came up, and I was hugging the kids, and we're meeting and greeting, and the mom turned her iPad around, and the dad was on FaceTime, and he was like, "Hi, I just want to say hello. I'm so devastated I can't be there today. I bought these tickets for my kids 6 months ago for Christmas. All I wanted to do was bring them to this, and I got called, and now I'm in Afghanistan." And he said, "But like, I just wanted to tell you, like, thank you, because when I was home, this was what bonded me and my kids. And thank you for being there today." And I was like, thank you. Like, thank you for your service. Thank you for, and that was the moment when I really thought, like, holy crap, I'm old enough now to understand what it means to mean something, not just to an individual, but to a family. That like parents are bonding with their children over this. I have a really good friend that I made. He's a parent of one of the kids who watched the show. His name is Edwin Bruce. And he adopted his daughter, he and his wife, and the wife and the daughter bonded very quickly. And he was trying to find his access point, and he couldn't figure it out. And he was getting frustrated, and the Fresh Beat Band came on, and they both started watching it, and it became their thing. And that's what broke the ice and bonded them. And really, I'm grateful. When I was a kid, I was so disappointed sometimes that I didn't get to be as big as some of my friends. And a lot of those friends don't do this anymore. They burned out. They got tired of it. They've moved on to other things. I think that it was meant for me to be an adult and moving into these spaces, and to move at the gradual pace I've moved. I've been disappointed at times with the lack of perceived progress on my end. But then I'm like, no, because at each step I've been ready. I don't think I've ever been thrust into a space where I didn't know that I could handle it. Even with the Fresh Beat Band, I was like, I'm a grown up. Y'all are worried about me causing a scandal. I'm 27 years old. Like, you should have caught me in college, you know, when I was figuring life out. I'm good with all that. I just want to be, you know, working and hanging out with people. And, you know, I'm not going to, don't worry, I'm not going to, you know, swing from a rafter and embarrass the show. Because there was a lot of pressure with the Fresh Beat Band, because they really wanted kids to believe we were those people.
The teenage, ambiguous teenage slash.
And they wanted you, like, if I saw a kid in life, I was Mickey Mouse. I was supposed to be like, oh, hey, hi, yeah, it's me. And at a certain point, I was like, you know, it's unrealistic to teach these kids that I am some kind of barometer for morality. I'm a human. And I admire a lot of people, but I don't idolize people outside of, I'm lucky enough to have people in my home I can idolize. I said, but like, you know, Will Smith slaps Chris Rock. That doesn't change how I function as a moral human being, because I didn't put that weight on him to be that for me. I admire the career he's made, and I want to study him and learn the choices and try to, if you think you made a good choice here, let me double down. You made a bad choice here, let me take another direction. But that was the only thing about, I think, the kids show as an adult that was hard.
That's great. So I got this picture.
Oh my gosh.
So that picture, I'm going to send it to you, Tail. That picture is with B-Boy Jalen.
B-Boy Jalen.
So my son Jalen, Jimmy Jalen, I used to see this kid battle at Freestyle Session. It was a B-Boy event before he did the show. And he was so dope as a young little killer on the dance floor, as a B-boy, as a breaker. And for the B-boy community, he was the future for us. I don't know where he's at now. I know he was from Seattle, but seeing him at a very young age inspired my wife and I to name our son Jalen.
Oh, wow.
So he's Jimmy Jalen Gomez. And it was him seeing this little superhero on the dance floor at a young age, killing the battles, and then seeing him later when my son was born on the TV show, was like, it came back full circle.
That was, I mean, I would love, if he's out there somewhere, someone knows where he is, please connect me, because I would love to see how he's doing. I love Jalen. It was a great source of pride for me that he was my mini me. And he would come in, and energy was always so great. Yeah. And I would always laugh, because I was like, you're supposed to be the mini shout, but I can't do any of the things that you're doing, bro, as well as you're doing
his
them.
Head spins, his flares, his power moves were just
watching, because we were so lucky with Chuck Maldonado as our as our choreographer for seasons 1 and 2. He was like the main dude,
Mhm.
and he would bring in these b-boys.
Legend was part of it too, right?
Yeah.
B-Boy Legend.
Mhm.
Yeah, shout out to B-Boy Legend, B-Boy Jalen.
Oh, yeah, we would have flips.
Flips.
And like and so your mind was constantly being blown by the caliber of talent we had, and they were blown away by Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would just watch him and be like, "Yo!" And I was like, it must be, I've had a couple of moments like that, but I was like, that kid, he must have just been over the moon every day to be able to like show off his skill set for the people who he also learned it from, and for them to be so impressed by him. And for me, like I have trained and danced most of my life. I don't call myself a dancer because I have a level of respect for dancers that doesn't allow me to. Mm-hmm. The way that I study the craft of acting, I call myself an actor. I don't have that same level of discipline with dance. I happen to just be good at it. So I'm like, I'm not calling myself a dancer. And dancers get pissed at me all the time. I'm like, I get it. And I love that you want that from me. But like, I love you so much. Mm-hmm. I can't, but every single day on the Fresh Beat Band, I would roll into dance rehearsal and I'd be like, who's it going to be this week? Like, what do you mean Teresa Espinosa's here? Like, I love Teresa Espinosa because I watched her dance for Janet Jackson. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah. It was just this like grab bag of goodness every week. You just never knew who was going to walk through the door and join you in dance rehearsal. And then I would be freaking out and they'd be like, what? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I am such a huge fan of.
Well, that goes to you being a student of the art form. And I kind of felt like that too when I was like, I learned how to use the CDJs. I was playing music, but I would never want to be called a DJ because I respect DJs too much. I'm an MC that can play music on a CDJ. Yeah. And I'm playing my songs mostly, but I'm not DJ Taboo. You know what I'm saying? I just never liked that, people would say, oh, you're a DJ now. I'm like, no. That art form is too special to hip hop. There's DJing, there's MCing, graffiti, and b-boying. And I am not ever wanting to take credit for that because I love it so much.
No. Is it because you felt like you didn't do the old school way with vinyls and carrying crates?
No. It wasn't that. It was more like,
but for me, it was like a time thing. It was like the effort that was put into it. Like you had to earn that.
Agreed.
By the time that
I see what you're saying.
I didn't put in those hours, bro.
You were just kind of naturally good at it.
I was good at it because I can, like press sync or whatever.
You understand how to match the BPMs and
exactly. So it was like it was easy because I'm a dancer and an MC.
Yeah.
But I was never wanting to take on I'm a DJ because I respect the DJ art form too much. I have a lot of DJ friends.
Especially the era you came up in. You have like the AMs of the world and those guys who were just...
So shout out to the DJ, shout out to the dance community, B-boys, MCs, and graffiti writers. Did you grow up with hip hop?
Yeah.
Top 5 MCs.
Oh my God, don't do that to me. Because I feel like they're going to be basic and I feel like that's just wrong. But Tupac, because I don't... Because
he was a thespian. That's why.
Well, yes. But also it's funny, I was having this, because I loved Tupac and I loved Biggie. Tupac was actually the first album I bought when I learned that there was a dirty version, like an explicit version of an album.
Tupacalypse?
Which one was Two of America's Most Wanted on?
Oh, that was...
Two of America's Most Wanted was on All Eyes on Me.
Yes, All Eyes on Me. So I bought that album. I bought that album the summer before my freshman year of high school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was 96.
Yeah, and I was heading to New York for that theater tour. And I popped it into my Walkman, and I was in the back of the bus heading from JFK to the hotel. It. And I was like, and I heard that first F-bomb, and I was like, whoa, oh my God, what? Guys, did you know? And they were like, yeah, man, because I was like the suburban boy. And
you never saw Juice?
No, I was a suburban boy who was going to this conservatory in Los Angeles because my parents were like, at least on the weekends, we got to get some blackness in this poor kid.
Only on the weekends.
And so because through the week I'm in school and all, Upland. And then on the weekends I'd be down in LA on like Crenshaw and Adams at Amazing Grace Conservatory. And he said, so it was a lot of Tupac for me, a lot of Biggie for me, actually.
Yeah.
I remember for a period being really into LL Cool J. And then being surprised because like the kid in me was like, all his songs were about other women, but he's married. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's all just
He's
it's
acting.
I think it's all art. It's all art.
Rappers are acting.
Hey, he's had his career in acting too.
Oh yeah, you know, I know that right now he's become more of a controversial figure, but my grandmother, who I told you passed away in April, Snoop Dogg was her guy up until the last like year or so when she was like, I don't like what he's doing. She flipped to Kendrick, which, kudos. Grandmother had great music taste. I mean, but I remember when I was doing the Fresh Beat Band, I did the thing you do when you get a TV show for the first time. I went and got a convertible. And so I pulled up to my grandparents' house in my my BMW convertible. And my grandfather popped in first, drove him around, came back to get my grandmother because she wanted to, put on a red lip and, put a little face on. And she got in the car and she rolled the window down, the tops down. And she said, now turn on some Snoop Dogg. And
Grandma.
And we just like went cruising around Upland blasting.
That's funny.
Blasting Snoop Dogg. So he for that nostalgia alone, he's up there. But yeah, Tupac was always to this day, like I teach a spin class because I love it. A place called Sweat Cycle up in the Valley. And my dad's birthday ride was Sunday. And my dad, like, Tupac is his guy. So I hear Tupac a lot. Right now, of course, like most of the world, I'm a Kendrick guy right now.
So Tupac, Biggie, LL.
Tupac, Billy,
LL. Snoop and Kendrick.
Snoop gets to be in there because of 90s Snoop.
So right, 2 and 2. You got two East Coast, 2 West Coast.
I think Kendrick is dope for now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the new.
Yeah, Kendrick is the one that would pop into my head now. I'm trying to think of who would have been 90s me. I'm sure it'll come to me later because whenever people ask me these questions, all of a sudden I forget you're like, what Broadway shows you like? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I've seen tons of them. Which ones can I remember right now?
Okay, so hip hop, are you big on R&B?
Listen, I think that we lost something special in music when we stopped getting the hoo yeah, like when people stopped doing that. When Casey, like there's those compilations on YouTube where it's just like all these R&B men, doing that same ad lib, and that R&B that is just, and in no shade to current music because I have a lot of favorites right now, but like of songs that are out, but there's just something missing in R&B. And my friend said the other day, he said, I think they stopped going to church. But also I'm like, no, because also like when people used to sing about love, you believed that it was that they like, you believed they understood what love was. Yeah. And now it feels like it's mostly just like, you cute, let's bang. And that's also fun. But like the R&B that I grew up on, I'm like.
Give me 3 R&B groups that you grew up on.
Groups? Yeah. Of course, Boyz II Men.
Shout out to Sean Stockman.
Oh, man. Listen, I also huge fan of New Edition and each solo artist that spun off of New Edition.
Shout out to BBD. Shout out to Bobby Brown, Johnny Gill.
Like BBD had me in the chokehold for like the early 90s.
For sure,
I was like, you put on Poison and I was the happiest boy in the world. Let's see, I mean, like Usher, of course, was like a North Star for a kid who thought for a while that I might want to be like an R&B singer.
The My Way album was
My Way
iconic.
My Way is still like.
I mean, Confessions is a great album.
Confessions is a great album, but My Way was my
2001,
something like that. Yeah,
yeah. But My Way,
My Way was like put him on the map.
What's the they call me US HERRAYM? That was my karaoke song for like most of the early 2000s. Yeah, but even like some of the ones that weren't as mainstream, like I think about like how much I really loved like Mario's voice when his first single dropped, and I was like, whoa, like that's crazy. Of course, like the original R&B boy band. My parents are huge Motown people, so like the Jackson 5 were very, very big in my household. Even going back to like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, I've often said that I think that if I was gonna be a singer beyond like singing on TV shows or singing in musicals, that my time would have been like the 60s, 70s, like Motown sort of era.
I love Motown
or
too.
like something like what John Legend is doing. My same grandmother, she would always say, that man, if you wanted to be a singer, you would have been John Legend. And I was like, she's probably right. We have similar I don't play the piano, but we have similar vibes. That's a secret people don't know. A lot of people who watch the Fresh Beat Band think that I'm like a prolific piano player.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned enough piano once they told me. When they hired me, they said, "Do you play an instrument?" And I said, "I play my voice." And they said, "Great." I said, "But I did play the drums in a movie once."
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Cool." And then a week later, they said, "Congratulations, you are now the lead male vocalist and keyboard player for the Fresh Beat Band." And I said, "Huh?" And so season 1 of the show, I would take piano lessons after work to learn how to play whatever chords were in whatever song was in the episode that week. And that was very stressful. But, they wanted to be able to do close-ups of my hands and stuff. And and then we went on tour, and I still knew most of those things, but I was like, "Can you do me a huge favor?" And I would like to take that pressure off of myself and just, the keyboard was on, but it wasn't plugged into anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because we tried a few rehearsals where it was, and I just couldn't you're
thinking about too much stuff.
I was thinking about too much stuff.
Yeah.
So now people know that, because I remember my TV son was like, "I played the piano because you do," and I was like, "Oh, great."
Right. Okay.
I was like, but I did learn the songs, so at least there's that.
I got a question. So we're seeing a lot of Nickelodeon stars transitioning from being actors to being successful musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Ariana Grande,
Yeah.
Leon Thomas.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out to
R&B guys.
Leon Thomas.
Much is
Woo! That record is
so proud of him.
I mean, Victorious. Victorious Justice.
Justice.
She had her thing going. Did you ever think of pursuing a musical career?
I did. When I was a teenager at the conservatory, there were a lot of guys there. I was in an R&B group for a minute there with them. I don't know what it was that never really clicked in the way that made that the focal point for me. Acting was, I told my parents when I was 5 that I wanted to be an actor. And much to their dismay, we had the ability to let me try, because my parents were like, "Can't you just be an adult? These kids come out of here all kinds of messed up, and we don't want that for you. But if he's going to do it, then let's make sure that we surround him and make sure that, and the acting still to this day, I'm obsessed with acting.
Mm-hmm.
I love music.
Yeah.
And I love going to concerts, and I love watching people do music, and I get so inspired by it, but I'm not filled with the same desire. When I go see a play or a musical or a really great movie or watch a really great TV show, that feeling isn't there for music.
Okay. That makes sense.
I judge acting experiences based on if I walked out of there a little devastated. And the devastation is actually because I'm like, "Oh man, what must it have been like to be in that, to get that script and say, I'm trusting you with these words. And now I'm watching you as an audience member, and I'm like, man, you're killing it. And I'm a little envious of the experience you're having. And I don't get that with music. And maybe I would have. I think some of those experiences I had in my teen years were not great. And definitely in the music group, it ended because the producer we were working with was just not a great person. And one day just was trying to, purposely get in and divide us and sort of isolate me. I think he figured out that I was an opinionated person because my parents raised me to speak.
Of course.
And he tried to make me the villain. And I said, cool, I'm going to do you a favor. I quit. And, walked away from it and got in the car. And my mom was like, what happened? And I told her. She said, good for you. And that was kind of the end of the direct pursuit of music. But I think, it's beautifully flowed in and out of my life through my acting. Every job I've had, somehow it ends up with me having to hum something, sing something. I didn't know even with That Girl Lele, we write jingles and they're like, oh, you sing. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm a singer.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool. I've done some movies. I did a movie called 12-Hour Shift a couple years ago, and the producers are friends of mine, and they were like, we have this idea. It's kind of crazy. There's this haunting hymn called, it's like, Are You Washed in the Blood, in the soul cleansing blood of the Lamb? And we want to make it like sort of haunting and then do this sort of, it's a scary movie, sort of killer killing people motif over it. And would you just sit on this chair and sing it? And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I did. And it came out to be this really great sort of sequence
Right.
in the movie. You know, like even in like Ghost of the Ozarks, they were trying to figure out a way for me to like sing something. And I was like, it keeps coming back. So even if I think I've also suffered with insecurities about it. I'm the only singer in my family. And so a lot of the people in my life who are brilliant musicians, they grew up with it. Their mom and dad sat at the piano and they all were in like 5-part harmony together. And I think I've always felt a little less good at it than other people. But then I'm like, but you keep getting hired to do it. So maybe it's time to just accept that you might be good, at it. You just don't want to be Beyonce.
Embrace it. I mean, because honestly, I loved everything that you did on Fresh Beat Band, and you were the lead, bro. Like when I listened, from a musician, artist standpoint, I was watching the show with my son, but I was always looking at the talent and the musicality and, what you guys were doing rhythmically. I always thought you would be dope to have like a solo career. I don't know if it would be R&B ballads or.
Yeah, I mean, I did with the late great Andrea Martin. She was a really great, very talented singer songwriter. In between the first Fresh Beat Band tour and the second Fresh Beat Band tour, she convinced me to fly to New York City. I stayed for a month, and we recorded an EP. It's called Beyond the Beat, and we sold it on the tour. And it was like this sort of, because you couldn't go all the way into R&B as Shout from the Fresh Beat Band. Yeah. So it was like this sort of bridge. Pop. There was nothing too overtly sexual, nothing, very. And I'll admit the experience of recording that, she was wonderful. The stuff that came after, all the business stuff with the business people, gets annoying. But the other day, once a year, my mom's birthday, because she loves taking my little spin classes as well. And on her birthday, I will allow her to choose a song from the album that she wants to hear because she loves it so much. And this year I actually did 3 songs for her. And in the middle of playing it, I didn't tell anyone in the class. Only my parents knew that it was me. And they were all grooving to it. And I was like, man, I kind of wish that I didn't let the business side of the music run me away from it. Right. Because the making of it was such a pure and wonderful experience. And then like my manager and their managers and the lawyers are trying to figure out. And I'm like, guys, we're going to sell this on tour. If we're lucky, we'll sell like 1,000 of these. Like, chill out, everybody. Yeah. But it got so contentious that I kind of was like, I don't know. And so I do. We don't have time machines, unfortunately. And I love what my life is, but I'd be lying if I said there weren't moments when I was like, I wish I could go back and see, like, what if I had gone deeper into music? What if I had graduated from Yale and had gone to New York and tried my hand at theater first instead of coming to LA
to do
and going
television.
straight into to TV? What if I hadn't gone to Yale? What if I had said yes and went to USC or UCLA instead and had continued to act for 4 years? Would my career be further along? A lot of the people I came up with didn't go to college. And like I said, some of them don't do this anymore. Others are football fields ahead of me. That doesn't necessarily happen just because I went to college and you didn't.
Right.
But sometimes in those moments where I'm like, man, I want to get to like the next space so badly, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have gone to college. I'm like, no, everything about your life that you love, you can draw a direct line to going to college. The friends I have, the jobs I have done, the partner I have, like, so the little spiral, my brain can go into sometimes. I'm like, no.
I love that because honestly, as a father of a 16-year-old, that we're having that dialogue right now, college, because he goes to a college prep high school that gets you connected and makes sure that you understand your next journey is in higher education, which I love. I went to public school, and unfortunately, I had a kid at a young age, and then I started my career at 19. So I didn't get that part of the teenage life of the college. So I commend people like yourself who went to Yale. I mean, bro, Yale, like, salute. And you you started in pre-med, and then you transitioned into theater.
Yeah, the thing that. I remember waking up from a nap my freshman year of college. It was like the end of the year, and I had been feeling kind of unstable. Like I was like, what is happening? I've never felt this imbalanced before. Like my spirit was so restless. And someone came up to me and said, because I was still taking like intro theater courses kind of on the side.
Mhm.
I think I thought I was going to be a pre-med major and a theater minor. And I had to do a little play with the theater class. And then someone said, come do a play with me over here. And everything balanced out. And I started to feel normal again. And I called my parents. I had this dream. And in my dream, I was bouncing through my life. And every stop along the way was something acting or performance related. And I woke up from the nap and I called my parents and I said, I got to tell you something. I'm changing my major to theater. I'm going to be an actor. And I'll never forget, because they were both on the phone. I think they thought I was going to tell them something like really like dark and terrible. Yeah. And my mom said, is that it? And I said, yeah. She said, oh, well, we knew that. You told us that when you were 5 years old. Mm-hmm. The whole doctor thing was funny to us. We were like, he's never going to be a doctor, which is great because my little brother is now an orthopedic surgeon. So at least one of us, but that was his passion. Yeah. But yeah, I do think for me, college was important because because I acted from 6 until 18, I think I needed to go live a life. Mm-hmm. And I think
reassure yourself that you were making the right choice.
It had to be that I was making the right choice, and just to like experience life. I legitimately, like I was saying to someone the other day, they were talking about, yeah, when you were a kid, you didn't just like, your parents didn't drop you off at the mall on Friday and you just like hang out at the mall with your friends. And I was like, no, I was working, like I was in rehearsal or I was on set or, I also loved soccer. So I was playing soccer in my free time from acting. Mm-hmm. Like, so I didn't get that. And then in college, I got to, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, be dumb, like I got to say, oh, what's that? That's a Mike's Hard Lemonade. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's gross. Oh, but it's also kind of tasty. Oh, okay. Like, have those experiences that you have and learn things and meet really brilliant people who are doing really wonderful things in the world. Sometimes I look at what they're doing. I'm like, man. Mm-hmm. And then they look at me and they're like, man, it's so cool. You get to like make people laugh.
Exactly.
Make people think, take them on a journey. And then I'm like, dude, you invented like a new way to like anesthetize people for surgery. What are you talking about? Also very cool experience because we are all out here. I think sometimes with art, people are like, well, you're not curing cancer. It's like, yeah, no, there are people who are curing cancer. And that's a very important job. I'm taking nothing away from that. But the people curing cancer are telling me that my job is as important as theirs.
Yeah.
If not sometimes more.
What you told us when you came on Byron's show, that it was
good medicine.
It was Stuart Scott that
for sure.
That when you were going through your battle, that it was Stuart Scott that kind of got you away from. It was an escape for you.
Yeah. Mm. So to your point, someone that had nothing.
You weren't
to do
curing
with,
it literally, but you were curing it.
Someone who was from the sports world, sports anchor Stuart Scott, rest in peace. He was talking about his testimony about his battle with cancer. And here I am, a musician, needing something that speaks to me because I was so annoyed at that time with the chemo. And Stuart Scott, like I loved playing baseball as a kid, but then I got back into sports because of Stuart Scott's testimony. And I was like, wait, this guy's speaking to me as a cancer survivor or a cancer patient. Yeah. This guy's going through his battle with cancer. So the idea of intersections of different walks of life and different disciplines coming together and finding healing. And finding medicine, good medicine.
Yeah, and it's the interconnectedness of it because all of it's necessary. You need people to be creating, figuring out the medicine to cure the thing you have. And while you're being cured with it, while you're sitting there having chemo, the amount of children, and I'm like, why? But like the amount of children I met during the Fresh Beat Band who were in grueling cancer battles or had just finished them, whose parents were like, the 22 minutes of your show got us through chemotherapy. Yep. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, it never even occurred to me at the time of the Fresh. That's why I always tell people like the Fresh Beat Band for me was a lesson in appreciation with hindsight. Mm-hmm. When I was in it, I was exhausted. We were working 7 days a week. If we weren't on set learning a dance, then we were filming or we were rehearsing or we were in the studio recording. Like it was a constant thing. I would rap on a Friday at 2 or 3 in the morning and be in the studio at 9 a.m. to record the next week's music.
Yeah.
It was too hard to have perspective on it. And then we went on tour, and I got to lay my eyes on and hug and hold the people who were watching it. And I was like, oh, wow, what we do is super important.
It is, for sure. I mean, it shifts and really inspires not only the youth, but the families that are watching. Because we as parents are watching with our kids, and to be able to get to know you guys through the fun, the positivity, the vibrancy with the colors. Like your colors were like blue, yellow, pink,
orange.
But it was cool because it made us feel like the frequency of love for music, the love for your camaraderie. You guys were multicultural, kind of like the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah,
kind of like the Black Eyed Peas.
Listen, John, who played Twist on the show, he would freak out hearing that comparison. He'd be like, "What? Yes."
Oh, that's dope. Bro.
And I tell people all the time, like, there's a bond that you understand. There's a bond that you have with those people that you're in those trenches with.
Mm-hmm.
People are always shocked to hear that, like, the final Fresh Beat Band members, like, we are an unbreakable quartet of people.
You still connected to
Yeah,
them?
and we're spread across the country now. Like, John is just, John Beavers is just in the middle of a moment in a career that you dream about, but like, it couldn't happen to a better person. He's such a student of the craft of acting, but also such a really phenomenal person. And it makes me so happy every time he lets me know, like, he's on the show Paradise, season 1 of the show Paradise on Hulu with Sterling K. Brown. And he has this episode, like 4 episodes in, where I was like sobbing on my couch because I was like, bro, this is insane. Yvette Gonzalez Nasir, who, there's not an instrument she can't play. She's got this ridiculous singing voice. The guitar, the violin, the piano. She was in the original Broadway cast of Hadestown, also a wonderful show, if you can see Hadestown. She was one of the fates in that, Tara Perry, who was our second Marina on the show and has been an actress, has been a prolific producer, writer. She wrote Ghost of the Ozarks, like co-wrote it with her husband, produced it, built the fund, made the funds, built the town. They're now living in a beautiful township in New Hampshire with their 2 daughters. And so I think that's the other thing too. You can't fake. We're actors, we're performers, but there's only so much you can pretend with. And I think that people with the Fresh Beat Band and with That Girl Lele, I think what drew them to it was each of those shows was built, its foundation was built on love. Like, Fresh Beat Band was literally a husband and wife who were like, we have these daughters and they're too old for Blue's Clues, but they're too young for High School Musical. We should create something that goes in the middle.
Yeah.
Because what's this jump from everything's fun and great to like, why don't boys like me? So we'll make the Fresh Beat Band. That Girl Lele was literally David Arnold. We are a heightened kid show version of David Arnold's Family.
Can we, for the people that have never seen that show, can you talk about the premise of, because I thought it was really fascinating, the premise of That Girl Lele?
Oh, yes. So the premise of That Girl Lele is Gabby, my daughter on the show, Sadie. She is a, really smart, funny, sweet girl, but she is not having the best time in high school. She's a freshman in high school, and she's suffering from insecurities and doubts, and she has this positive affirmation app on her phone that reinforces her whenever she's feeling down. And one night she wishes on a star that the app would come to life so she could actually have a best friend. And as the magic of TV, kids TV happens, a star flies by right at that moment, and Lele comes out of the app and becomes her real life best friend. Mm-hmm. And those two girls were, first of all, the first time on Nickelodeon where there were two Black girls who were the leads of a show together.
Yep.
And also they were both sort of based on David's daughters, which I thought was really, really great. And then you had, mom and dad, and then you had the little brother and all the hijinks that come from that. But the core of the show was this regular human girl who was so desperate for a friend that she made a wish strong enough to create one. And the bond that they made over time was really, really sweet. And like I said, David, the heart and soul creator of the show, that's how he lived his life. He was such a when he died, he had a heart attack unexpectedly in the middle of our second season. And I remember sitting at his funeral, and I mean, literally, like TV wife, TV kids holding on to each other. And I started doing math, and I said, I knew him for 18 months. And it felt like a lifetime. He had a gift, which I think was infused in the show. He had an ability to see you fully and gift you with the ability to see yourself. I remember going to him early on in the process and telling him how I had been really doubtful, because there's so much about the world and this business that can be very hard on you as a Black or brown skinned person. And then you add, in my particular case, like being a gay man onto that. And there was a long time in my life when I wasn't certain if that was going to be a part of my narrative, because I didn't know if people could handle that as part of my narrative, that it might hinder or limit the heights I could soar to if people knew this thing.
Right.
And so with the Fresh Beat Band, the first year of the Fresh Beat Band, I didn't tell anyone but my castmates. And then I came back to season 2 and I said, well, that was horrible. I spent 8 months hiding myself from 300 people. I don't want to do that anymore. So with That Girl Lele, I came in the beginning and was just like, also Tiffany's there. She knows my whole life. So we're talking about my partner and everything. And one day I said to David, I said, hey, I hope it doesn't make you uncomfortable. Because I realized I'm playing you. And I just want to make sure that you're, and he said, at the end of the day, this career should be about who does it the best. Who's the best for the thing? He said, now, I didn't know. You don't have a sign on your forehead. It's not on your resume. I had no clue till you got here. He said, but it doesn't matter, because you came into that Zoom room and you took this part. There was no one else who could do it after we saw you do it. We said what he's doing. He said, you have taken, this is at the end of season 1. He said, you have taken a role that means a lot to me because it's me. And you have taken it to places I never imagined it could go. And the rest of it doesn't matter. He said, what do your parents think? I said, my parents are cool. They were fine from jump. He said, good. Because all that matters at the end of the day is, can you do the thing you're being asked to do? And to me, that's like, for me, like the embodiment of the soul and spirit of That Girl Lele. Why it was able to connect the way it did as quickly as it did, because that's who was the root of it. He believed in his heart that if we led with love, and that if we made a show in love and out of love, that the audience would watch it and fall in love with it. And they did. And he fought really hard for the parents, because, no shade to the past Disney and Nickelodeon parents, but they're usually the butt of jokes. They're usually there to be comedic relief and kind of dumb and, don't really know what's happening with their kids. And David said, I told the network, I said, these are black ass parents. They gonna know what's going on with their children. They're going to be as important
That's funny.
to the show as the kids. And if I do my job right, the kids might even love the parents as much, if not more, than the kids. And he never told us if he was right. But I pointed out to Tiffany that at the top of season 2, we had the first 2 episodes of season 2, we were in a storyline without the kids. And I turned to her and I said, this is unprecedented. This never happens. The kids aren't around.
Yeah.
It's just us. That means that he was right. When the network filmed 13 episodes and released them and did all the testing and the Q scores, he was correct. He built parents in conjunction with us, built parents that the kids loved so much that season 2, we were having the best time. And I think even the last batch of episodes that we made, I think are still infused with that love, because his wife, Julie, was kind enough in her grief to come into the show as a producer and be there. But that's what I think is like, when you talk about like, what is the show about? There's the storyline of the show, which is wholesome and wonderful and great and provided some really good laughs. And then there's the stuff no one knows about, which is, the way in which David, both as a physical being here and as an energy out there now, like moves through. I was in New York in March And I was in a bar to meet a friend, Harlem Tavern. And this guy was sitting next to me and he kept looking at me weird. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but it's late at night and maybe, maybe we should get the heck out of here. I think he's a little drunk. I thought he was trying to hit on my girlfriend, actually. I was like, Kaylin, I think he wants to, and then he leaned over her and he said, yo, man, are you the dude from Lele? And I said, yeah, I am actually. He said, dude, I was hoping it was you. Man, my kids love that show. We've bonded over it so much. My favorite thing about the show is that I'm a sneakerhead and your character is a sneakerhead on the show. And you had that shoe closet, man. That was like a dream. That whole shoe room with the thing and the stuff and the blah. And I told him, I said, you don't know this. You have no reason to, sir. I said, but it is 11:52. In 8 minutes, it will be David Alexander's birthday. He's not with us anymore. But this moment he would have lived for. He fought so hard to make my character the kind of father that hip fathers who are sneakerheads, fathers who know what's what, who dress well, who love their kids, who are deeply involved in their kids' lives, that those fathers would watch this show and see themselves in it. I said, and this feels like a little cosmic wink from him. A couple minutes before his birthday, just to let me know he's still, and I walked home from that bar to my friend's apartment where I was staying, and I called his wife and, told her the story, and we had a good little cry together. And that's the bones of, I'm sorry, that's beyond the question you were asking, but
No,
I think it was a perfect segue
That was
into what are your holy grails of sneakers? You got the props for the sneaker collection.
Well, listen,
as we wrap up, we got to at least get some sneakers.
Yeah, well, this is what I was telling Taboo. I was like, the next phase of my sneakerheaddom, because he really did. I was already in that space. I just was like unemployed. And so I was like, well, I can't buy any shoes. And then once I got the show, I was like, well, now I'm on a TV show. So now I can feed the beast.
I get these weekly checks.
Yeah. And and then like we would show each other. Tiffany would text me a shoe. I text her a shoe. So I always tell people, I don't know I got to start learning the names of the shoes. Cause I'm like, oh, this one, this Air Force One with the color on. But then my cousin who's like waits outside of stores for hours to get like those handful of sneakers that are released. It's like, well, those are the, and I'm like, okay, that's the next phase in my evolution. Cause I have all the shoes. I wear them out. People stop me. They want to talk about them. And then I'm like, I don't know the name of it, but I know that I freaking love.
So what is it? The colorway, the silhouette? What do you gravitate to?
It's anything. It's just, I think the colors are the main thing probably that draw me in first. Cause I don't think I have, I've got a couple of Air Force Ones, but like a lot of the shoes are different styles. I got low tops, high tops, slip-ons. It's just, and there is something specifically that's me, because Tiffany and David would be like, I saw this shoe and immediately said, this is a Tommy shoe. And I'd be like, what are you doing to me, man? I just got 5 boxes of shoes like last week. So like I said, I've been on a little bit of a break. I'm trying to be a good boy right now. But yeah, I don't know the names of like the specific.
Are you a Nike guy?
I'm definitely a Nike dude.
Okay.
I'm definitely a Nike dude.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I was in my soccer days. All my
Probably
soccer
Adi, right?
players growing up were Adidas. So I would be like, I got to do my Adidas. I got my slides and my sandals. But as an adult, all my shoes are Nike.
Because Nike wasn't super into soccer in those days. They were just getting into it.
Yeah.
But Adi,
The U.S. team got.
Adi ran soccer in the 90s.
They did.
Oh, for sure.
With the Copas and
I had the sweatsuits and the I was, and now I'm the exact opposite. Like
Same.
now I'm like, I got all my Nike sweatsuits.
Is it Nike and Jordan or just Nike for you?
Just Nike. Yeah. I haven't gotten fully into the which is funny because I went through a pretty hardcore Jordan phase in like college. But yeah, I've been strictly Nike right now. I haven't gotten super into the Jordan side of things.
Yeah.
Yet, but there's always time.
There's always time.
And now I have my mom
She's
in on
into
it. Got my mom in on it,
Okay.
and then we've started like microdosing my father into it because my dad is like a guy who is just practical. Like,
Right.
as long as you have everything you need, I'm good in these clothes from 5 years ago. And so we've started like Father's Day, Christmas, his birthday,
lacing them up,
slipping these Nikes into his collection.
That's
and then I'll
dope.
be like, okay, now these are
Mhm.
not for working out, Father.
Yeah.
He says, so wait, you buy sneakers
Got to categorize them.
that you don't. I said, these sneakers, these shoes over here, I bought you sneakers here that you can take to the gym for your workouts, for your boot camps and your all that. These, you put them with a nice jean, okay? You put them with a...
Tommy, wait till he finds about dead stock. He's really going to go crazy. Where you buy two and one is for shelving it and then one you rock.
Listen, I have a pair of Nikes that I love so much that I actually bought 2 pairs.
Yeah.
And one I wear around and the other one is like, these are the nice pairs. And my partner thought I was crazy. And then we were in Ghana a couple of years ago. And I took, we're traveling. I took the everyday ones.
Yeah, the beaters.
And we were at this swap meet, meeting some locals, looking at souvenirs. And our guide was like, hey, man, like those are clean. He's like, can I have them? And I was like, well, bro, I brought 2 pairs of shoes on this trip.
Can I have them?
So I told him, I said, and then we got back to the hotel and Wilkie, my partner, he said, don't you have 2 pairs of those? And I was like, yeah, but one of my beaters and the other ones are for like, and he was like, really, Thomas? And I said, okay, fine. So
there it is.
I left a couple days before Wilkie and I said, can you find the man? Give him these shoes. And he didn't find him. And so when he came back home, I said, well, where the hell are my shoes? Because I would, if you didn't give them to the man, I want my beaters back. I'm actually shocked. Today I intentionally did not wear them because those get worn like almost every day. Yeah, those are My cousin was he was over last night and he's like, I'm impressed, Hobson, because he's like, I remember when he was at UNLV in college, I used to come up and visit him sometimes. I remember one time having to come get him as he was walking out of getting the shoes he'd waited overnight for, and I was like, you're crazy. Why do people do these things? And now, I'm on all these different apps, getting emails saying the drop is at 7 a.m. and I'm up at 7.
Now you're on a podcast about kicks.
That's what we had. And we got to end with you because you got some heat on your feet right now. What you rocking?
These are the Awake New York drop, which I really love.
Those aren't out yet, are they?
They're not out yet.
Right, of course not.
So,
Taboo,
I'm not at that level yet.
So these 5s are pretty dope because they collaborated with the New York City company called Awake. They do a lot of dope collaborations with Jordan. So shout out to Reggie Saunders and the Jordan team. And, I want to take this time to say thank you again for making my day. Thank you for making my household inspired throughout all these years. My son, Jimmy Jalen and Jet. And I'm honored to call you a brother. Thank you for being part of the show, bro.
Well, listen, I know, and it's your show, and I want to let you end it, but I want to say, before we get off, I want to say for people to hear, thank you for being my friend, for reaching out to me in the ways you have, in the ways you do, for connecting in the way that you did. I remember seeing you on the orange carpet the last time with my godson, and my godson was like, what? And I was like, I guess I'm godson. Your goddad's kind of a, but specifically, one of the first times I encountered you all on a orange carpet was in the Fresh Beat Band days. It was chaotic. We were accidentally on the carpet at the same time. And this was like, there was no time to really like but I remember speaking, sort of being like, holy crap, do you see like the Black Eyed Peas is like right over there. Like, holy crap, like we're the Fresh Beat Band. We're on this carpet in our freaking outfits and we're kind of mortified because everyone else got to dress nice, but we had to be these characters. But like in discussions with people after, you are among the list of people who made me start to go, oh, this thing I'm doing is something different than I thought. Because people that I look up to, people who are entertaining and inspiring me, are seeking me out to tell me they're enjoying what I'm doing, that I'm friends with Taboo, that Lawrence Fishburne saw me walking through like a spa and was like, let's have a conversation about what you and it really, in the moments when this business, as chaotic and as oppressive as it can be sometimes, to do something that's so vulnerable and so exposed, and sometimes you're getting all the rejections and all the things, those are the buoys that get me to the next space. Is going, my God, people I admire are telling me that what I'm doing matters. And so I can't let the devil's attempts to take that joy from me or to delay whatever the next space is that's opening up. I can't let that get me down because there are people who I love before I knew them, who have poured into me in ways that I'm not allowed to ignore. So thank you for that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you. On that note, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful segment, but also like a rekindling, a reconnection with my friend. Started in 2007?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
About that time period when we did the orange carpet?
Well, that was probably like
2004,
like
2000.
maybe after, maybe like 9.
2009. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And now to come back full circle, I want to leave you with this. One of the most memorable moments with Tommy, I hit you up and I said, yo, Tommy, I don't usually do this, bro, but like my daughter's a big fan of your show. Would you send her a birthday message? And you sent her a birthday message, dude. And for me, that was like, I love this guy for life. This is my brother for life. So
that was an honor.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. That's right, y'all. It's Taboo Nawasha, and I hope you enjoyed geeking out with me and going straight into geek mode. For more information, for more videos, subscribe, like, and comment. Share it with your friends. Much love. There it is. Comics and Kicks.